Mr. Anchia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll try to get us done relatively quickly. I know we want to get to the floor. Welcome. Thanks for your testimony today. I want to just preface my comments by saying that the questions I'm asking are not meant to be critical of the PUC. In some ways, I think what we did in the Texas Energy Fund put you in a very, very difficult position. And I stated last session on State Affairs my misgivings about the big government approach of the Texas Energy Fund, setting up a government bank to achieve the ends that were not calibrated to the market. Since we're going to be talking about another $5 billion potentially to the Texas Energy Fund, I'm just going to continue asking questions, and I hope this is not the last time we get to have a dialogue about it. But just to level set on the update, I know we had a joint meeting in the fall. Just want to, especially for the new members of the committee, maybe talk a little bit about what the Energy Fund has been able to deliver or not. So let's start with the in-ERCOT loan program. How many megawatts has that produced on the grid? And it's not a trick question.
None of those projects are currently operating.
So 0, right? And there have been at least 2 or 3, and you can correct me on this, projects that have fallen out of the bid process, I guess, or the application process. You had the NG Flexible Energy LLC project which withdrew from TEF, the TEF in-ERCOT load program due to supply chain issues, correct?
Correct.
All right, and did they identify specifically what the supply chain issues was? Was it getting that steel that was supposed to be in the ground? Did they specify?
Yes, essentially they were looking for necessary component parts for their plant that they weren't able to locate on the timeline required.
And I won't spend a ton of time on the EAGLE. Did I pronounce that right? It looks like a transposed E and the A at the beginning for Eagle, but EAGLE potentially project, that was one that you all denied because it was discovered that one of the principals was convicted of fraud. And so that was originally missed by Deloitte, and then it was revisited, widely publicized. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, but that did occur as well.
Yes, that application was selected for additional review and was dismissed almost immediately.
And Deloitte did recognize their miss on initially pre-screening that project and has agreed to have some funds clawed back on their $100 million contract with the PUC. Is that right?
That is correct.
And how much is being clawed back because of that miss?
What's being clawed back is $7.3 million, which is 10% of the contemplated charges over the 4 years of the contract.
Got it.
The $100 million is a cap on the contract.
Have any other projects fallen out or been withdrawn?
Yes, there's one other project that was withdrawn late last year.
Also citing supply chain issues, I take it?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And so difficult task. I know you all are looking at backfilling the supplemental projects or maybe bringing other projects in. Just by way of recap on the discussion we had last session, we had not heard from the marketplace that, given that we were in a historically low cost of capital environment, that was the major gating item for getting projects online, right? We had heard that over and over again. I think, Thomas, you testified to that, did you not?
That's correct. What we heard from what I would call the incumbent generators was, while low-cost loans were great, they really needed to see a market design that got them their sustained revenues. I will say what we've heard from what I would call the new entrants who don't have as much of a history is their access to low-cost capital was not the same as those large incumbent generators. So I definitely think these low-cost loans on that front have helped get us additional competition into the state looking to build thermal dispatchable generation.
Got it. You raised a good point on market design. Have we done anything on market design so that even if low cost of capital was the gating item for some segment of the marketplace, that people would actually be able to make money in the market?
So we, continually look at our market design. The kind of market design that was put forward by E3, the PCM performance credit mechanism, is something that we have shelved for the time being, given some of the guardrails that were put on that when ERCOT and the independent market monitor looked at the cost benefit of that. The costs were just too much and outweighed the benefits. And so while it's still in statute that we can have that reliability service, I'll never say that we will never implement it, but given kind of the parameters that are around it right now, there are other things like the DRRS that I think it is more beneficial for ERCOT to put their time and effort towards.
And PCM's dead for now.
We will not be implementing the PCM now.
Okay. Let's talk about the other parts of the Texas Energy Fund. Completion bonus program. Have any completions occurred so that bonuses would be given?
No.
Okay. How about the outside of ERCOT grants? I know Speaker Phelan, who was on the dais earlier, was it was instrumental in sort of advocating for these grants outside of ERCOT. Any awards there?
No.
Okay. And the backup power package, that was an idea that came over from the Senate, was adopted. That was to help critical infrastructure have redundant power. Any grants made there?
No.
Okay. So TEF has accounted for 0 megawatts of new generation coming online since that bill was passed. Fair?
That is correct.
Okay. Let's talk about, I just want to move on to load projections very quickly. And I've heard a lot coming from the Senate about load projections being super high, which has caused me as a policymaker to pause and worry about my constituents, right? So should my constituents, in hearing those numbers, be afraid about whether there is enough power in the system to keep the lights on for them? And what are your projections on load growth?
So I would say, no, your constituents don't need to be concerned about how we manage this load growth. I think we can do it in a managed way that will ensure reliability. When it comes to, the number that was put out initially was, I want to say 150 gigs
right.
In the next 6 years. ERCOT, since that number's come out, I've heard speak about, as low as 130, maybe even as low as 110. And so I definitely think we need to tighten up how we're coming up with those load projections, what ERCOT is counting and what they aren't. So that we can get a more precise number, because one of the things you would expect to see with that amount of load growth is, and Representative Anchia, you talked about last session and the generators. What we hear a lot about is future curves, what those future prices are. After that number came out, prices went up for a very short amount of time and then came back down, which I think indicates that there's not a lot of belief that 150 is accurate. So I definitely think we need to tighten that up. But what I can say is a lot of load is coming to this state, and whether it's 110, 130, 150, we're getting a lot of load, and we need to prepare our system to interconnect all that load.
I know you need to choose your words wisely, because what happens in this room oftentimes moves markets. Do you believe that the actual number on projection is closer to that 150 or closer to the 110?
Sitting here right now, I think if I had to give you a number, I'd say it's probably right in the middle between 120 and 130,
okay,
based on the conversations I've had with customers looking to interconnect as well as with ERCOT and the TDUs. Now, I will say there will be another update that ERCOT will provide based on information from the TDUs in April. So we'll get another glimpse into this, what the TDUs are seeing from the customers looking to interconnect on their system. So that could definitely change, my perspective on this, but I would say right now between kind of that 120, 130, I think is probably accurate.
And those are still big numbers, right? They're still formidable. Do you think that PURA gives you the ability right now to regulate the market in a way that will keep the lights on for people? I mean, if you look at section 14001, does that give you the power to regulate and supervise business of each public utility in Texas? And do you have the tools that you need to ensure grid stability?
I believe that we do. I think there could be some discussion around how ERCOT looks at the system. They tend to look at it, utility by utility and not so much holistically. And I know that's that's one of the things that ERCOT President and CEO Pablo Vegas and I have discussed, is maybe looking at ways, and I don't know if they're statutory, if they can just be done either through protocol revision or some other method, to look at it more holistically, to see not just, yes, there's enough capacity, say, on an Encore system to interconnect a customer, but how that really affects the entire system holistically. And so I think a broader look like that is probably something we need to be doing.
And I know it's been the response of the legislature to come up with big government responses to this. Is it your sense that market-based approaches might work as well?
Absolutely. I think, there are definitely times where, government needs to intervene, but I think what our goal is at the commission is to set up a market design, to set up parameters within our legal authority so that the free market does its work. We're providing the right economic incentives, and the market responds to those incentives to get us the outcomes we're looking for, to not have to continually look to government to intervene into the market.
Thanks for answering my questions.